I'm already pissing people off, so why stop there? Let me just put a trigger warning for all the Jason Aldean fans, because clearly my content has y'all pressed. And just a reminder, if you don't like this content, you can simply scroll past it. And if you're wondering who I'm making this content for, well, if you're already angry, it's probably not you. I'm making this content for people who are trying to learn how to identify racist dog whistles and subtle racism. Because when they can see it and identify it, they can name it and they can call it out. It's weird how the foundation of changing anything is like calling it what it is. So just in case you missed the 6-part series I did on why this location was a completely inappropriate place for him to shoot a video with the context of the lyrics, here's a little refresher. So this is the Maury County Courthouse in Columbia, Tennessee, and it is the site of an actual racial terror lynching that occurred in 1927, and that would be for the brutal kidnapping, murder, and lynching of Henry Coate. He was 17 to 18 years old at the time. This is his death certificate, and as you can see, it says that his cause of death was lynching. And trigger warning, I'm about to say exactly what they did to him, so if you don't want to hear that, just exit out of this video. What they did to him was absolutely unimaginable. They kidnapped him from the county jail after he was accused of something with a white girl. The lynch mob hit him over the head with a sledgehammer. They tied him to a vehicle and drug him through town, all the way up to the Maury County Courthouse. And they hung him from that X right there, which is exactly where the American flag is in the music video. The Maury County Courthouse has been the center of racial tensions for many years, and there have been other lynchings that have occurred there, other attempted lynchings, there's been race riots, all kinds of racial violence has occurred at this courthouse. So given the context of the song, and that it is clearly hinting at the BLM protests of the last few years, I don't know how any reasonable person could defend them shooting their video here. Which is why, to me, it feels intentional. It feels like an intentional dog whistle. The subtle warnings and threats that are generationally embedded in Black folks' DNA. And over the last, say, 100 years, there's obviously been many acts of overtly racist violence, but I would say that a majority of the racism comes in silence, which is why so many are outraged by this music video, the location they shot in, and the context of the song. But I also wanted to point out one more thing. In the performing aspect of the entirety of this video, they are obviously shooting this at night after dark. Not a single time do you see them performing in this video during the day. So tell me why it was relevant in the last 10 to 15 seconds of the song that they show sundown. Y'all really think that's not a reference to sundown towns? The insertion of this sunset or sundown, whatever you want to call it, seems intentional. Because outside of the context of a sundown town, this is not relevant. They were performing in front of the courthouse at night after dark. At no point in the video were they ever performing during the day. So the insertion of this sundown does not make sense without the context of sundown towns. And also keep in mind, Pulaski, Tennessee, where the KKK was founded, is less than 40 minutes from Columbia. And I also just want to point out that in the last 10 to 15 seconds of the song, this is what's on the screen. Jason Aldean is kind of blurry, like he's in the foreground. So they are obviously drawing attention to the American flag on the building. And again, that just feels intentional. With the context of the song being kind of like a fuck around and find out in our small town situation, this just feels like a subtle warning of what they're capable of and what they have a history of doing. Because having this and this being what you end this video on feels like that subtle warning, that subtle reminder, that subtle threat. If you come to their small town and do something they dislike, that you're going to find out what they do to you. I don't know how some of y'all aren't connecting the dots here. Like, it's really not that hard. I mean, to focus on the exact area of a famous racial terror lynching, to have your video end on a literal sundown, those are too many coincidences for them to be a coincidence. And people who say, oh, it's not that deep, are privileged to not know what it's like to be in a small town as a person of color. And they are also willfully ignorant of literal history. And the lack of acknowledgement to that is just mind-boggling. It really is. So yeah, take that with what you will. But me personally, I don't think that this imagery is a coincidence. I think that it was intentional because in the absence of text message proof that they were talking about this being intentionally racist, there's no proof. There's no physical proof. And they know that. So each person viewing this video is going to have to interpret it how they see it. And unfortunately, for many of his fans, they deny that racism even exists. So they're definitely not going to see it in their favorite artist's music video. And also, I just wanted to add, people keep telling me that I'm a Jason Aldean hater, this, that, and the other. I actually used to be a huge Jason Aldean fan. I went to multiple of his concerts. And because I'm a normal fucking person who, when presented with facts, can change their mind, when I began noticing that he was outright racist, homophobic, and also cheated on his wife and married his mistress, I stopped being a fan because that's what normal people do. But surely what is not normal is how angry people are in my comments over this. At the end of the day, it's a fucking celebrity. It's a singer. Like, that, if you don't want to acknowledge what a lot of us are seeing, then don't do that, but move on. Like, it's insane to me that people feel entitled to, like, inform what someone creates content about on their own platforms. It's just weird. Like, I have said many controversial things on this channel over the last couple of years, and I've never had so many people just in droves send death wishes and death threats and horrible, horrible things. Like, it's insane.